The rain came down like the sky had finally run out of patience. It slammed against the cracked windshield of Mark Ellison's old pickup truck and turned the parking lot of the 24-hour grocery store into a blur of smeared headlights and broken reflections. Mark gripped the steering wheel tighter than he needed to, jaw set, exhaustion carving deep lines into his 38-year-old face. He had just finished a double shift at the warehouse. His back hurt. His boots were soaked, and all he wanted was to get home to their tiny rented duplex, heat up leftover spaghetti, and pretend for a few hours that life wasn't one overdue bill away from collapsing. "Dad?" his 8-year-old son, Caleb, said softly from the passenger seat. Mark didn't answer at first. He thought his boy was going to ask for candy again. "Dad," Caleb repeated, urgency in his voice now. "Stop." Mark frowned. "Why?" "There's a lady." Mark glanced up. Under the flickering grocery store sign, near the cart return, a woman sat on the curb. She wasn't dressed like someone who belonged there. Even from a distance, Mark could tell. Her coat was tailored. Her heels, though one was broken, were expensive. Dark hair clung to her face, soaked through. Her shoulders shook. She was crying. Mark exhaled. "Caleb, not our business. But she's alone." "So are a lot of people," Mark replied, softer this time. Caleb turned toward him, eyes wide, earnest in a way only children can be. "Mom says when someone's alone and crying, it becomes our business." The words hit harder than the rain. Mark swallowed. His wife, Hannah, had been gone for 3 years. Cancer didn't care about kindness or timing. It had taken her anyway. But Caleb still carried her words like instructions written in permanent ink. Mark looked back at the woman. He felt that familiar pull, the one that told him to help even when he had nothing left to give. And he felt the other voice too. The practical one. The protective one. "You don't know her. It's not safe. You can't afford problems." "Please, Dad," Caleb whispered. Mark shut off the engine. "Stay in the truck," he said firmly. He stepped out into the rain and jogged toward the woman. Up close, he could see she wasn't just crying. She looked shattered. Her mascara streaked down pale cheeks. Her phone lay beside her, screen cracked. She looked up as he approached, startled but too tired to flinch. "Ma'am," Mark said gently. "You okay?" She laughed bitterly. "Does it look like it?" "Fair enough." "You need a ride somewhere?" "No," she said quickly. I don't know." Her voice trembled, not fragile, but stunned. Like someone who had just been hit by something invisible. Mark hesitated. "Look, I'm not trying to intrude. My son saw you. He was worried." At the mention of a child, her expression shifted. "You have a son?" "Yeah, 8. He's in the truck pretending he's not watching this." That almost drew a smile. I'm sorry," she said. "This is embarrassing." "No, it's not," Mark replied. "Life's heavy sometimes." That did it. Fresh tears spilled over. "They took everything," she whispered. Mark crouched slightly so they were eye level. "Who?" "My board. My investors. My so-called partners." She shook her head. "In one vote. One night, 20 years of work." Mark blinked. "What?" She let out a broken breath. "I was CEO of my company this morning. Tonight I'm locked out of my own building." Mark stared at her, trying to process that sentence, against the backdrop of a rainy grocery store parking lot. "CEO?" he repeated. She nodded weakly. It sounded ridiculous. CEOs didn't sit on curbs in the rain. They didn't look like this. "Company called Halberg Tech," she added hollowly. "You probably haven't heard of it." Mark's chest tightened. He had. Halberg Tech owned the warehouse where he worked, where layoffs had been rumored for weeks, where overtime had just been cut, where men whispered about corporate restructuring. He studied her face more closely now. Not arrogance. Not entitlement. Just devastation. Caleb cracked open the truck door and ran toward them before Mark could stop him. "Buddy," Mark started. But Caleb was already beside the woman, holding out a small, crumpled napkin from his pocket. "You can use this," he said solemnly. She stared at him. Then she took it like it was something precious. "Thank you," she whispered. "What's your name?" Caleb asked. "Lauren," she answered. "Hi, Lauren." "I'm Caleb, that's my dad. He's really nice even when he pretends not to be." Mark sighed. "Caleb." Lauren let out the first real laugh of the night. It was small, fragile, but it was there. "Do you have somewhere to go?" Mark asked again, more carefully this time. Lauren hesitated. I don't want to go to my apartment. There are reporters already. I saw the notifications before my phone died. Mark glanced at the shattered screen. "You can't stay here," he said quietly. He felt the weight of his next words before he said them. "You could come to our place, just to dry off, have some coffee, figure things out." Lauren's eyes widened. "You don't even know me." "Neither do you," Mark replied. "But my son would never forgive me if we left you here." Caleb nodded seriously. Lauren looked between them, the tired single dad in worn work boots and the little boy who still believed strangers were worth saving, and something inside her cracked open. "Okay," she whispered. Their duplex was small, paint peeling near the windows, furniture mismatched. The heater made a strange rattling sound every few minutes. Lauren stood in the doorway, dripping onto the linoleum, clearly out of place. "I can leave if this is—" "It's fine," Mark cut in. "Bathroom's down the hall. We've got towels." Caleb tugged her hand. "You can wear my mom's sweater. Dad keeps it in the closet so it doesn't get lonely." Mark stiffened slightly at that, but he didn't correct him. Lauren changed into Hannah's oversized cream sweater. It swallowed her frame. When she came back into the living room, she looked human. Not a headline, not a CEO, just a woman who'd lost something huge. Mark handed her a mug of coffee. She wrapped both hands around it like she needed warmth more than caffeine. "I didn't see it coming," she said quietly. "I built that company from my garage. I hired people who couldn't get second chances anywhere else. I believed loyalty went both ways." Mark sat across from her. "Work doesn't love you back," he said simply. "I learned that the hard way." She glanced at him. "What do you do?" "Warehouse supervisor." "Your warehouse, apparently." Her eyes widened. "I didn't know," she breathed. "I swear I didn't know they were planning layoffs." "They always plan," Mark said calmly. "We just hear about it last." Silence settled between them. Not awkward, just real. Caleb climbed onto the couch beside Lauren. "My dad says we're not rich, but we're okay," he said proudly. "We have pizza on Fridays." Lauren smiled faintly. "That sounds like wealth to me." For the first time that night, she didn't look like someone drowning. She looked like someone listening. Hours passed. Stories were shared. Loss met loss. Lauren talked about her father teaching her how to solder circuits at 12. Mark talked about holding Hannah's hand in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and goodbye. There were tears. But there was also something else. Perspective. Around midnight, Lauren's phone buzzed weakly back to life after charging.